Hello again, you're with BBC News. I'm Sally Bundock with the top business stories. More now then on the announcements we're expecting later today from Boris Johnson as he talks about his plan for the gradual and phased route out of lockdown for England. The Prime Minister says he's optimistic he'll be able to set out measures for a cautious easing of coronavirus restrictions, which have been in place since the start of this year. Now, as you've been hearing, this is expected to include the opening of all schools in England from the 8th of March and some sports at the end of the month. But what about businesses such as non-essential shops, pubs, restaurants? What do businesses want to hear today from the Prime Minister? Well, let's discuss this with Tej Parikh, who's Chief Economist at the Institute of Directors. Good morning. Nice to see you again. So at the IOD, what are you hoping for? As he outlines his plans later today to Parliament and then a press conference after that. But now let's talk about financial markets, how the new week has started. It has been pretty flat, to be honest. You can see Japan up by 0.7%. A mixed picture, really. This follows Friday's close. On Wall Street, again, not much movement. The bond markets have been hit really hard. We're seeing moving into shares and equities. There's a lot of conversation in global markets about how the global economy is faring, certainly the biggest economies in the world. Of course, we still haven't got an agreement, a signed and sealed situation in the US Congress yet when it comes to that huge stimulus plan for the US economy. Later today, Christine Lagarde, the head of the European Central Bank, she'll be speaking. There'll be a lot of attention on what she has to say. And Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve in the US, he's speaking this week as well. So a lot on the minds of investors, but treading water really today for markets. Now, Boeing has advised all airlines to ground flights which use its 777 airplanes after a United Airlines plane suffered engine failure after takeoff on Saturday. In response to this incident, Japan has asked all airlines using Boeing 777s with the same Pratt & Whitney 4000 engine to avoid its airspace. Well, let's get the latest on this from Mariko Oi. She's in our Asia Business Hub. Hi to you, Mariko. Tell us more about this latest development on this type of plane. Now, let's get some of the day's other business stories. Tom Hayes was the first banker to be jailed for rigging interest rates, and he's told the BBC he believes fresh evidence that's emerged since his trial will show his conviction was unsafe. The evidence raises questions over legal rulings in his trial, which have also been used to prosecute more than 20 other traders, some of the only bankers to be prosecuted since the 2008 financial crisis. His case is now being examined by the Criminal Cases Review Commission, the body set up to review allegations of miscarriages of justice. In his first ever television interview, he spoke to our economics correspondent, Andy Verity. Stay with us here on BBC News. Still to come. Riding. You're with BBC News. Let's remind you of our top stories this hour. A report from Fairtrade today warns that global warming is causing irreparable damage to agricultural communities around the world. By 2050, up to 50% of the land used for coffee farming may no longer be suitable. But reducing the UK's emissions, it argues, means tackling what it calls the UK's hidden carbon footprint emissions that are generated by farmers overseas to grow the food and drinks that are sent here to the UK and consumed at large. Well, let's talk to David Taylor, who is the Fairtrade Foundation's Policy Manager. Good morning, David. Welcome to the programme. Just tell us in a bit more detail what you mean by the UK's hidden carbon footprint they need in poor countries. What can be done to really help them adapt to climate change apart from reducing carbon consumption? Now, in the US, more than 50 million people experienced hunger in 2020. That is up from 35 million last year. The Biden administration is taking steps to address the food crisis, but that will take time. Meanwhile, communities have filled the gap by coming up with novel ways to feed those in need, as our North America business correspondent Michelle Fleury has been finding out. Now, in the last few years, the number of people trying open water swimming has been on the rise apparently under lockdown, with swimming pools and gyms closed and people exploring new ways to keep fit. It has boomed. Figures from Swim England show more than 4 million people have taken to swimming in the sea, lakes, rivers and lochs. That in turn has led to a surge in sales of related businesses. Well, let's talk this through with Pete Kelly, who joins us from Cumbria, owner of Swim the Lakes. Morning, Pete, to you. Morning, I can see some pretty heavy-duty wetsuits, or maybe they're even dry suits behind you. I can't think of anything worse than getting in the freezing cold waters right now. And it's brilliant for your health as well. So just talk us through how this boom has affected your business. Well, describe your stereotypical swimmer who's going for this during lockdown.
Well, it's very
talk to you. I'm a complete wuss when it comes to swimming. It's got to be a heated pool. That's all from me. I'll see you soon.